Hello and welcome to this episode of Focus On. I'm Kiamkhatsa Mosipili. Today we put the focus on the Railway Safety Regulator's take on the latest draft legislation centered on improving the condition of rail for business and people. The National Railway Safety Regulator Act 16 of 2002 of South Africa states that railway operators must have a safety permit issued by the Railway Safety Regulator and an established safety management system that meets RSR's requirements. The Act also states that no one can operate a railway operation without a safety permit. Now, 22 years on, we are joined by the Railway Safety Regulator's Acting Chief Operation Officer, Freddie Khumari, to paint a picture on some of the suggested changes, but as well as the future of rail in South Africa. Mr. Khumari, sir, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the show. I'd just like to touch on this piece of legislation. As we've mentioned, it is set to be put into book and is also open for public comment. Just kindly detail what these changes seek to implement, particularly speaking to ensuring safety within railway operations.
Hello, Cameron, and hello to your viewers, and thank you for having us. Thank you for having me. Maybe you provide some background about this animal that we call a safety management system. You are correct in that, for all operations in South Africa to be legitimate, one needs to have an operating safety permit. And that operating safety permit is based on a submission of your safety management system. That's really on you telling the RSR that this is how I'm going to manage my safety on a daily basis. So this SMS determination, if you can call it an SMS regulation, really, is just really, a framework for ensuring that we inculcate, a sense of, safety responsibilities and so on in our daily operations as businesses involved with railway operations. It includes issues like, your safety, your safety policy, your risk assessments, and so on. So we are empowered to determine the form and content of that safety management system. And I'll talk firstly about the form, Kiamu. The form, it needs to be in a form or a format that allows the RSR to conduct an objective assessment. When one is applying for a safety permit, it needs to be in a form that allows the Railway Safety Regulator to conduct an assessment to see if you are really fit and to qualify for an operating safety permit. And then it also needs to be in a form that allows us to do our supervision work. Our supervision work, is this monitoring work that we do through audits, and inspections. So we need to, determine that form and content of a safety management system.
But I'm also interested within the time you've spent revising this piece of legislature and particularly going about implementing it. What barriers does RSR face with regards to ensuring that an adequate safety management system is applied across the board within the railway operators you oversee and supervise?
Firstly, maybe admission that maybe there wasn't enough appreciation of the vast landscape of our railway operators. We have very small operators to big operators like your Transnet, Prasa and others, big mining operators, but you have small siding operators. We had attempted in the first drafting of this SMS determination to make exemptions because we are also a risk-based, organization, to make exemptions where possible, where we say that, for example, we say that an internal audit of this safety management system shouldn't be required for a very small operator. There are only some certain things that needs to happen. But then we did receive that feedback to say this we feel smaller operators, we feel like this is a bit burdensome. It doesn't help in assisting us in managing our safety. Could we look at those type of issues as exemptions? But largely from the gap analysis, we found that most of our requirements were not superfluous. Operators appreciated our, guidance in terms of those requirements of the SMS. And 80%, I would say, of our requirements we did retain in the new SMS determination. And it's a lean and mean system that we're asking for now. We did away with those repetitions. Demonstration for compliance with the requirements is easier. There's not a lot of documentation that one has to produce. One document, we had to align as well with what our operators are doing. So if one could produce a piece of document to also demonstrate, compliance with a different set of requirements, we then accepted that. So that worked really well, and operators really appreciated that.
Before we did touch on how you've mentioned regulating some of the railway operators goes by a case-by-case basis, just depending on the size of the operation. But besides that factoring that in, I think a common thread that operators can relate to is the challenge of infrastructure. And I'd also just like to know how do you factor in the current state of railway infrastructure, and how does it impact safety as well as efficiency within South African railways?
We had maintenance backlog issues that we were trying to address. There were refurbishments. We know what PRASA was trying to do with the new train sets, or they're actually doing it. They're and they're doing it quite well. Transnet as well, we were doing it quite well. But then we got hit by COVID, and that was a worldwide phenomenon. And during that, we had this then spike because, we were crowded as a country. You can imagine, having your infrastructure, your railway asset out there without, adequate security and so on. So people then took that opportunity to nick almost everything that was on the ground, right? And that has an impact. Then when you wanted to start operating, you have your signaling cables that have been stolen or vandalized, and your infrastructure, your rails on the ground is not at a state where it was supposed to be. And you can also imagine the maintenance backlog that would have been there. So these issues of security, whilst it's a socioeconomic issue, it also has an impact on a railway safety, because you can imagine with that state of infrastructure, then you might not be running trains as efficiently or as safely as one would like to do. For example, on the signaling side, one needs to have fallback plans to still be able to run trains. So you don't always have your signaling systems that are operational, but you'd have some other authorization systems which should be safe, but an automatic signaling environment is safer. So those kind of issues, theft and vandalism, security incidents, they have an impact on the safety of our operation.
And I'd just like to touch on the three most prominent railway operators that the common person have come to know, which is PRASA, Transnet, as well as Gautrain, that you oversee, with the latter being noted or known for being the most efficient, and also according to your 2022-2023 State of Safety report, recording the least fatalities. Can you just attribute or identify some of the elements within your safety management system that are a direct link as to why their numbers stay that way?
Yeah, it's a very robust safety management system. We have seen through their application that it is robust. All the elements are complied with, and most importantly, is being implemented. We have management commitments. If we go into a Gautrain depot, you'll find that there's displays about the fatalities and all the occurrences and incidents that prevail in the operation. So that demonstrates commitment. But I must say that in their favor, they have a closed system. So incidents of theft and vandalism, not so much. We have, road vehicles crashing into their fencing and so on. But that's about it. Whilst we must, appreciate the challenges that PRASA and Transnet are faced with because of the open nature of their networks. They are not always fenced. So they're susceptible to all the, the crime elements, people encroaching into the environments, people having, can I call them criminals, having easy access to their operating environment, and that will have an impact on safety naturally. But we making strides in that we in the future looking to have where is necessary, depending on the levels of risks, right? So where is necessary, we're looking to have, fencing along these corridors. It will not be everywhere. But I must also mention that we have seen that there is commitment from leadership from the two other operators. There's now Transnet and PRASA, and we hope and believe that things will turn around and safety will be improved.
Well, we can certainly hope, as you've mentioned, that the future of railway safety as well as its operations improve for the benefit of people as well as for business. But unfortunately, that is where we have to conclude our conversation with RSR, the Railway Safety Regulator's Acting Chief Operation Officer, Mr. Fedi Khumari, on this episode of Focus On. From me, Kiamarazo Mosipele, it's goodbye for now.